Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is your reading for the first week of the year. So happy New Year and many happy returns. We start with the Hanged Man, a card that was very seminal and appeared in Libra, as did the Lovers. So there's definitely an overlap with your sister air sign. So be sure to check out Libra's reading. The Hanged Man representing surrender and acceptance, also a change of perspective. There's a feeling here of, as we enter the new year, being able to look at things differently, most likely in a more favorable and positive aspect. Sometimes we can leave one previous year with a sense of dread. Sometimes there can be work responsibilities that we're having to put down. There can be a sense of, oh, I've got to start this again. I've got to get the kids to school. I've got to complete this. I haven't done this. Or there's suddenly a to-do list as long as our arm for the year ahead. But the fact that you've got the Hanged Man shows that a sunnier disposition, a sunnier outlook, and perhaps a more realistic one. Also, I would really encourage you this week, Aquarius, to move forward with the attitude of que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. As I mentioned there, because the Hanged Man is the ultimate card of surrender and acceptance and patience too. Although we may sometimes feel as though we've got our hands tied behind our backs and we are impotent within our lives, really it's sometimes the most useful choice that we can make of going, okay, I'm just gonna let it be. There can sometimes be a tendency, particularly that first week, of wanting to roll our sleeves up and get stuck in with things, and that's useful to a certain degree. But it's important as well that you use your discernment, you use your wisdom, and what feels most correct in terms of, well, could I be a little bit more patient? Could I see what unfolds, or do I need to charge ahead? There will be benefit as you have the King of Wands and the King of Swords in your reading. I love to see kings, particularly two kings, as kings are the most arguably the most evolved aspect of their suit. So the ones being actions, creativity, motivation, and creativity. I think I said creativity twice. Um, Actions and doing. And then the swords being about the thoughts, ideas, and planning. So it's useful, therefore, to a certain degree, to look to the future. That's something that the King of Wands is great to do. He can look to the year ahead, start to make some loose plans, emphasis on the loose, or maybe it's not even plans, maybe it's just aspirations. Maybe these aren't so much goals, fixed, rigid goals. This is something that I really, really want you to guard against, Aquarius. Is right, I'm going to do this. It's going to be exactly this. It's more being open and receptive to partly the flow of life, but also the opportunities that just present themselves naturally. I think that's really good. Maybe it's a good week to try the yes experiment where you just say yes to everything, or just enter life with this open-handed generosity of thinking, well, if it's appearing in my life at the moment, maybe it's what I'm meant to be doing. Because the King of Swords particularly knows that, yes, he can make plans, but he can also be flexible to a certain degree within those plans. Something that is echoed here with the Moon card. The Moon card, in combination with the Hanged Man, both have this lovely quality of, we don't know what's around the corner. We don't know what's next. We don't know what 2025 might be bringing us. Therefore, all we can do is really just put one foot in front of the other and just be open and receptive to what life might bring us. Sometimes the moon can indicate the fear of the unknown and our fears getting the better of us. And the best way to guard against that is through acceptance. It's this big, big word for you at the moment, Aquarius. It's all around surrender and acceptance, surrender and acceptance. Doesn't mean that you need to lose sight of your goals or put them on the back burner or shelve them indefinitely. it is more of a fine balance between these two things. And I say that because you have the Lovers card here, which is often about harmony and balance and the marriage of different aspects to ourselves. I would really encourage you to be looking at, well, what is your relationship like with the universe? And that might sound a strange turn of that's a particular thing I was going to say, but I've forgotten. Turn of phrase. There we go. That may sound like a strange turn of phrase. What's my relationship like with the universe? When we have the festive break, we are pretty much there's usually quite a bit of escapism going on, which is really necessary. There's quite a lot of rest, hopefully, going on. But this is the time, and sometimes we just slightly forget our more spiritual aspects, or we forget our connection to the greater things because we're at home, we're merry, we're enjoying the Christmas dinner, all of those things that are great and necessary. But this is a time to revamp and say, actually, what do I want my connection to the universe to look like? Put another way, am I being open? Am I being receptive to what the universe is trying to bring to me? Because you have the angel, I believe it's the Archangel Gabriel, but I'm absolutely fine to be corrected. Put into the comments below if you know otherwise. But he's kind of over Adam and Eve, full of promise, is the messenger. Therefore, I think it must be Michael, right? If my Bible knowledge serves me right. But he's bringing the message to Adam and Eve. So there is certainly a feeling of messages trying to come through here. So perhaps a little fun task for you is to say, okay, universe, show me within this week what I need to be doing, where I need to be going, where I need to be placing my efforts, what do I need to let go of? Just very gently start that communication. Another word for universe might be God, it might be your guides, it might be Allah, it might be whatever you respond to. But it is definitely a time to start that interaction with a higher power. I get really excited as I speak about that. The King of Swords is a wonderful channel as well for some of these messages and these ideas. He has the wisdom to know that I don't have to do it all myself and go it all alone. If you find yourself in that way of thinking, and it's very, very self-driven and self-motivated, there is benefit to that, absolutely. And there is a benefit to being the King of Wands and going, right, what point on the horizon am I fixing my goals to? But the wise man, woman, person knows that actually to achieve the greatest things within my life also requires divine assistance and divine inspiration. So the question to be asking yourself is, how am I connecting with that? Also, one of the questions to be asking yourself is, have I got some ideas of what I want to do next that are very, very fixed, that perhaps aren't so useful? We can, it's interesting, isn't it, as we hit the new year, because there is benefit to, right, I'm feeling really motivated, I'm feeling really inspired, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but it can sometimes be a dangerous place to tread because then we make assumptions of what's coming up next. And if the moon teaches us anything, it is there are these twists and turns. And actually, if we get more into the place of acceptance and looking at being in the here and now, ultimately, that is likely to be much more aligned. So ultimately, looks like a great week. And don't be surprised if you're experiencing some kind of big shifts in your viewpoint, big shifts in your perspective. This is what the Hanged Man speaks about, and just shifts in terms of what you're feeling inspired or motivated by. Again, we can sometimes enter the Christmas break and leave the Christmas break assuming that we have the same outlook, or we've kind of gently started to think about the next year. What would it look like if you suspended those beliefs and those assumptions and allowed something else to show itself. That is my reading for you, Aquarius. Be sure to check out your rising sign and your moon sign for a more rounded reading. But enjoy the start of 2025, and I shall see you next week. Bye for now.